Hey, good morning. Christy Mattoon here with a cup of coffee. It is super early in the morning. I think it's like a little after 5 here maybe. And so I wanted to get on and ask this question. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? And somebody literally had asked me this the other day. And I was like, I don't know. What do you mean, who do I think I am? And it kind of, as the conversation evolved, it was more about what do you think you can do than who do you think you are, but they go together. They're pretty intricately interwoven because whoever it is you think you are will lead you to be able to do the things that you think you can do. And the blocks that we talk about are resistance in your system. All the emotions, all the negative things that get stuck in the physical body that cause you to get stuck and have issues. And so the question that she was really trying to get to was, how do you, without doing all the guru stuff, how do you get yourself into a situation where you can really start running forward in your life? And my first thought was just get super brave. Like, you have to decide that you trust yourself so much and are willing to fail and be okay failing. And know that failure isn't a negative thing. And I know you've heard this before. Negative isn't a negative thing. Failure is a teaching mechanism, right, that allows you to decide what to do next. Failure is a teaching mechanism that allows you to decide what to do next. And so without failure, you're not gonna really have a good gauge of what direction to go next. And so failure can be on a really grand scale, like a huge issue, or it can be little tiny, it's like a little trail of breadcrumbs almost, where you can just kind of pick and choose through the situation or the issue. So you got to test what you can do, and you got to get really super brave and not worry about failing. Am I worried about failing right now? No, I've posted some things and I've done a few things that have actually gotten me into a bit of trouble in the last so many months. I just did a thing on apologies because it's become a natural way of life for me, because I'm testing the system. What can I say? What can I do? Am I worried about failing? Am I worried about, I want to say hurting feelings? And while you are worried about, it's not worried about it, while you are concerned with hurting somebody else's feelings, you don't want to do that. You want to stay on a path of good and pure and true. But sometimes, because our perceptions are so different, things that I might say, you might hear and perceive differently than the way I meant them. Right? And I talked about that on the other video. But when you're testing the system, you're just running through something. I'm going to give you an example here. Years ago, this happened years ago. This is a true story. I keep trying to think of this guy's name and I can't think of his name. I knew a man. I used to feed him at the golf club that I worked at. And for years, this guy would come and just eat off our buffets during the international golf tournament that we did at Castle Pines Golf Club. I was the pastry chef, so I made all the good food, and I was getting bigger and bigger and fatter, and it's okay that I use the word fatter, because my perception of the word is that's what I was. It was literally body fat. That was my issue. That was part of my issue. But so as I was doing that to myself, I was also doing it to other people. And one of the guys that was getting larger along with me as we were eating all of this stuff and whatever else he was doing in his life, used to come down into my kitchen and talk to me. And one day he came down and he said to me, hey, I can't eat like this anymore. I can't do this anymore. So if I ask for a gallon of vanilla sauce, tell me no. Like, flat out. He goes, it doesn't matter how hard I beg, please tell me no. I have to quit doing this. And I was like, wow. And it was part of my journey that I had to quit doing it too, but that's not this story. He actually gave us tickets. So this guy was actually a very high ranking person in the world of camera operators. Like, what would you call it? Like NBC. Like, he was the dude that videos and publishes the sports on the TV, right? So he does all this work, and then he takes care of all the cameras and everything, and it ends up on our screens on our TV. And so he was doing a Denver Broncos game one day, and he had given us tickets to come out and watch the Bronco game. And we were sitting in, I forget whose box we were in, but we were in somebody's box. It was amazing, so cool. And our tickets, on the tickets, like they were these big long tickets and you had to wear it around your neck, said all access pass. And I took that literally. I was like, cool, that means I can go into the tunnel and find this guy. I had no reservations, no issue in my mind about it. Literally walked down on the field, on the side that we were sitting on, walked around the whole field to get to the other side so you could get to the tunnel. This was in the Broncos Stadium. And as I started approaching the 50-yard line, there was a guy standing there, and he turned and looked at me, and yeah, I could tell it was like, oh, I'm about to get stopped. So I started jogging towards him. I just took off. I was like, okay, let's play. Like, I have a badge. I was gonna get into that tunnel to go see this guy. Literally ran up to him, yelled the guy's name, I need to get to, yelled the name, and kept running. He grabbed my arm and kind of pulled me back, and he goes, excuse me? I need to see him now. And he just like looked at me, and he's like, oh, through the tunnel. I kept running. I just kept jogging. I didn't even stop at that point. I was like, oh, that was kind of weird. Kept running into the tunnel, testing the system, right? Can I do this? Am I allowed to do this? And I did have a pass that said all access, but there was absolutely no reason for me to be in that tunnel. Zero. So I kept running in, and as actually I was running in, the team was running out. So this was back in the Tebow days. Tebow ran past the horse. Horse ran out of the tunnel. The whole team. I was cracking up. I was like, this is the silliest thing. And all I did was just flatten myself against a wall, which is what a few other people had done. Went on in, and sure enough, there he was. You know, we're in this area, it's like a trailer down there. If you've never been down in the tunnel, it was a bunch of trailers, a bunch of open space. I had no clue how much stuff was down underneath this area. But he had this huge trailer, and he took me inside, and it was full of TV screens. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. He's like, this is what I do. And as I'm standing there looking at him, I was just like, in awe. I was totally blown away. He'd lost as much weight as I had at that point. And I was like, look at you, like you look amazing. And he's like, yeah, and he kind of told me his story. And then he looked at me and he's like, why are you down here? Like, who are you? It's like, I just took off running, had my pass, yelled your name, and kept running. He was like, are you serious? Heads are gonna roll. He goes, if it's that easy to get down here, and I was like, uh-oh, right? But who are you? What do you think you're capable of? Because if you think you're capable of doing anything, and you put on the appearance of whatever it is you're trying to do, right? Stay in the vibration of whatever you're trying to do, and it's gonna get you there. If you are not in that vibration, if I had walked up to the 50-yard line and been like, can I go down and see and said his name, I never would have gotten through. The answer would have been no, because it should have been no. But because I didn't do that, I had the appearance of somebody important. I was running in, yelled the guy's name, knew exactly where I was going, even though I didn't. And I'm not saying this to get you into places where you shouldn't be, but if you want to test your system and you want to try and take yourself a little bit further in anything you're doing, I would suggest doing it at an amplitude and doing it at a speed like you're just running into it. No holds barred. You are running face first into it and just ready for whatever happens. Whether you get stopped, don't get stopped, apologies always matter. You know, if you get told to take something down or to do something different, think about it, right? You get new information. You're going to understand a little bit differently. Maybe it'll actually raise your vibration even higher. So that's a cool thing. Test the system. Who do you think you are? Who do you feel like you are? And can you walk around in that suit long enough to actually turn into the thing that you're wanting so badly? To become that person and to gain all the stuff that you need to have around you. All right. Have a good day. Blessings and peace. Enjoy your coffee. I know I am.